Everybody believes that Terraria is all about fighting your way through different bosses while cleansing the world of its evil. Well, I think there's a greater evil we've all chosen to ignore in Terraria, and it's the nasty parasite of capitalism. I mean, think about it. Almost everything in Terraria involves money in some way, right? Upon defeat, every single enemy will drop a certain amount of coins for you to pick up. Actions like reforging gear for better modifiers involves blowing a ton of cash, and just like real life, many NPCs will only choose to move in with you once you have a substantial amount of money to your name. But even if you do get some NPCs to show up, they're gonna demand an absurd amount of money. Are you currently on 1 HP fighting for your life in order to save your world from every single boss at once? Well, if you don't have the funds, the nurse won't ever heal you, so you can just go bleed out and die for all she cares. So this got me thinking, could you fully fight back against this capitalist society and beat Terraria without any money? The rules for this challenge are pretty simple. I must make my way through the world of Terraria while both never collecting any money myself and never spending any money via the NPCs, all while playing the game in its expert mode. While these requirements seem simple enough, this challenge put me through many trials and tribulations, like getting jump scared numerous times, drinking a mysterious brew to get a gender advantage in-game, and even inventing my very own particle accelerator to defeat some of the game's bosses. This is the Terraria Expert Mode No Money Challenge. I began my journey creating my character, and I settled on creating the Lorax, the titular character from the 2012 animated movie all about the dangers of capitalism. For the world, I also named it after the town in the film, Thneedville, as towards the end of the movie, the community all sings and dances while they rocket the capitalist O'Hare into the sky, never to be seen again. He never appears again after the scene in the movie, so like, I think they just fucking killed him! Anyways, upon entering the world, I did what any good Lorax would do and cut down my first tree. And immediately ran into my first problem. You see, whether it's a simple enemy like a slime or a boss like the Eye of Cthulhu, upon defeat they always drop money that litters the ground. And if we get anywhere close to these coins, they'll travel into our inventory. At the start of this playthrough, we essentially have to play a pacifist run, avoiding every single enemy as killing them spawns in money we want to prevent grabbing. But we can't just play like this forever. I mean, I was intending to take down all of the pre-hard mode bosses in this video, and all of them will drop money upon defeat. Thankfully, there's one incredibly niche item in Terraria that is the single most important tool in this challenge, known as the Encumbering Stone. Now, the Encumbering Stone is a pretty simple item. When it's in your inventory, you cannot pick up any items off the ground. So no building blocks, no weapons, but most importantly, no money. Now, I really don't know what I'll do if money overlaps an item I want, but nevertheless, this item is still incredibly beneficial by letting us avoid any unwanted change on the ground. So I headed right towards the desert to grab it. On my way there, I grabbed a finch staff and a ladybug minecart in a chest, which was a pretty big foreshadow for what lay in my future, and made my way into the underground desert to find the Encumbering Stone. Now, the underground desert is unforgiving if you immediately make your way there spawning in, so I decided to just avoid most of the enemies by Fortnite boxing them so they wouldn't defeat me in 2 hits. Some definitely made that easier than others, but a few required very unorthodox methods to avoid, like using grenades at a distance to defeat the desert worms in the ground to create distance between myself and the money. But I eventually made my way into my first desert house, opened its chest, and ended up finding the Encumbering Stone first try. This thing only has a 1 in 7 chance to appear in underground desert chests, so this was really lucky. And after grabbing it, I recalled back to base with my run-defining item. What wasn't so lucky though was when I was making my house and I ended up— Oh, I forgot about him. I was so invested making this house and getting the Encumbering Stone, I completely forgot about him. Yeah, so I never mentioned this, but for this playthrough, I decided to install the Withered Foxy mod that has a 1 in 10,000 chance every second to play a jump scare on my screen. And I proceeded to roll this thing twice more within the next 10 minutes. Note to self, don't ever play this mod again at 3 in the morning. You will wake up your brother and he will want to kill you for it. Listen, man, I'm sorry, okay? I just needed to get this video recorded and What the fuck are you doing here? Get out of my house! Hey everyone, just wanted to ask you guys to please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying it so far. Honestly, I'm not really expecting this video to do as well compared to my usual FNaF stuff, but Terraria has consistently been one of the most requested games for me to play, so I wanted to give back to you guys for all the support. And with the like and subscribe plug out of the way, I must go back to mining heart crystals. After getting my encumbering stone, for a while, I just went mining for supplies. The stone allows me to turn its effects on and off by just right-clicking it, so I was able to turn it off to pick up specific items like heart crystals to boost my max HP. Some magical fairies also showed up to guide me to nearby heart crystals. Except that the heart crystals were like 2 feet away from me, so they just didn't help at all. I already knew it was there! Like, I already knew! I also found a step stool with a warding modifier to give me +4 defense, stumbled upon an enchanted sword shrine to give me a pretty sweet weapon, and ended up making a full set of lead armor. Oh yeah! I almost forgot that I ended up digging so far down, I made it to hell. And weirdly enough, there were a ton of people I recognized down there, all named Charlie. There was Charlie Morningstar, Charlie Dompler, just a bunch of Charlies all around really. I wonder if I missed any. I do still have one big issue in this no money challenge, however, and it's that if an item I want overlaps money on the ground like an enemy drop, there's no way for me to pick it up without picking up the money as well. This means that items as simple as torches are a super limited resource, as I'm almost always unable to get the gel from slimes to craft them without picking up their money as well. Now, it was around this time though when I spontaneously decided to make a ton of minecart tracks and build a railway all the way to the left side of the map. Manifest Destiny's a bitch, I tell ya. Going westward is just a part of my American blood. I honestly believe this railway would just be pretty useless, but it ended up being the catalyst for something extraordinary. Starting with the first boss I had to defeat, the Eye of Cthulhu. Alright, so it turns out that my Manifest Destiny Railroad wasn't just a meme like I suspected, as once I used an Eye of Cthulhu boss summon I got from a chest to fight him, it was the sole reason I was able to win the fight. His whole deal is that he tries to dash into you, but the King's Chariot was simply too fast for him to catch me, and I was able to take him out with a volley of arrows. Unfortunately, we aren't able to grab any of the goodies from the Expert Mode boss loot bags, as they also drop money over top of everything, which means we'll miss out on grabbing the Shield of Cthulhu alongside any of the other loot bag drops in this playthrough. Although, it was then when I had a delightfully devilish idea. Would it be possible for me to defeat all the pre-hard mode bosses riding a minecart? It'd keep in line with the no money challenge, as poor people commonly worked and yearned for the mines. Besides, I already had another boss I could fight with my railroad, Queen Bee. Now, Queen Bee is summoned by breaking a larva found inside her bee nest in the underground jungle, and she's unique in the fact that she doesn't despawn if you leave the jungle and can chase you outside of her bee nest arena. Now, leaving her arena does make her enraged, causing her to attack more often and charge at a mock speed, but it's nothing the King's Chariot can't handle, right? I will in fact kill the Queen Bee with my minecart strategy. She does get enraged and like attack faster, but I think I can do it. Y'all, I think I'm gonna be able to do this. I'm gonna get on my minecart, and then I'm gonna keep coasting. Cause she's not like a terribly difficult boss, right? I mean, it's still pre-hard mode. Let's freaking do this. Okay. Maybe there are some things the King's Chariot can't handle. Maybe if she had like 1/10 of the health I could beat Enraged Queen Bee, but otherwise it really isn't happening. For now, I decided to pivot my focus away from Queen Bee and instead focus on another boss, the Brain of Cthulhu. You see, since we rolled the Crimson as our evil biome instead of the Corruption, we can fight the Brain of Cthulhu, which can be summoned by breaking 3 of these Crimson Hearts found within the biome. My idea was this. In his first phase, he summons a ton of these tiny creeper guys to attack you at once. So what if I just made a huge minecart arena to run them all over with vehicular manslaughter? The minecart actually does a ton of damage if you're fast enough, so if I just made an arena where I'm constantly bouncing around on a minecart, I could act like a drunk driver and keep ramming into them at mock speeds. It sounded stupid, but around this time I almost had my health maxed at 380 HP, so I could tank a lot more damage. And along with an Iron Skin and Thorns potion, I could up my defense while also dealing damage back when the boss comes into contact with me. It sounded like a completely idiotic plan. Which it was, let's not kid ourselves now. But I made my stupid 5-year-old bouncy house of an arena and went to fight the boss. I broke 3 Crimson Hearts to summon him in, and once he showed up, it was time to take the King's Chariot for a spin. The fight began, and I immediately ran over all of the brain's stupid little children with my minecart. I didn't see a Watch for Children sign installed in the arena, so I was free to punt them all around as I wished, and got into the second phase of the fight. Now, I did make a few driving mistakes jumping around this arena, but eventually I got the swing of things. But it was getting down to the wire. The brain had a tiny shred of health left, but I was also at less than 10 HP remaining. Just a real please speed, I need this situation all around. Unfortunately, the brain was closing in to kill me, and it seemed like this was the end. But I ended up learning a very valuable lesson that day. Even in death, nothing can stop the King's Chariot. Oh my god, I killed him! I fucking got him! I literally killed him like we both took each other out! Oh my god! That's right, due to the minecart's damage when he came into contact with me and the Brain of Cthulhu died right at the exact same time, causing me to close out the fight even in death. Nothing can stop the King's Chariot. Except when something can, but let's just ignore that. With the brain down, only 5 bosses remained on our pre-hard mode checklist, and it activated a meteorite to land in my world. When I went back to see the spoils of my victory in the arena, however, there seemed to be an ugly truth to it all. You see, at this point in a Terraria playthrough with a Crimson World Evil, you're expected to make a Crimtane armor set. You can craft these by combining Crimtane bars with the tissue samples dropped by the brain's stupid snot-nosed children I ran over earlier. The problem is that while I could mine out naturally spawning Crimtane ore with my platinum pickaxe to smelt into bars, all the tissue samples that dropped from the creepers ended up falling into the bottom of the arena where money had already accumulated over top of it. So going back into the arena just unveiled a money minefield where if I unlock my encumbering stone to grab the samples, I will definitely pick up money no matter what. And wouldn't you know it, I'm conveniently 1 Crimson Heart short to summon the boss in again and get my hands on some more samples. Without tissue samples, I don't have the materials to make the armor set or the Deathbringer pickaxe, which means I also can't get a strong enough pickaxe to mine Hellstone to get the best pre-hard mode armor set, Molten Armor. All this mental gymnastics really means is that we can't use Crimtane or Molten Armor in this challenge, and instead have to solely rely on Meteor Armor obtained by mining out that meteorite that landed by defeating the brain. Meteor Armor definitely isn't the best armor set we can get, but without any alternatives, we'll have to solely rely on it to take out the remaining 5 bosses. For some of them, this may seem difficult in expert mode, but I think I've got a new scientific invention to get us through our next boss. I call it the Particle Accelerator. Now, the Particle Accelerator is a pretty simple invention. You take 3 minecart tracks, hammer 2 bumpers on each end, get in, and once you start rolling, your speed will exponentially get faster and faster. I wanted to use this to defeat our next boss, King Slime, as if he jumps into us, the Particle Accelerator will be so fast that it'll explode his health with vehicular manslaughter damage and I'll win the fight. But first we've got to do a little bit of setup. So I went to where that meteorite landed to mine out the ore and obtain a set of meteor armor with the space gun. Also, around this time I got my hands on a Star Fury, Lucky Horseshoe that prevents fall damage, and Abigail's Flower, a crossover summoning item that spawns in Abigail from Don't Starve Together to fight for you. Abigail may be the worst summon in the game, and I may definitely have already gotten better ones by this point, but I just like Don't Starve, okay? I wanted an excuse to mention it in the video. Also, Abigail has the ability to fly, so like if I need her to take care of an enemy, she can just ignore every obstacle and deal with it on her own. Anyways, I don't know if you guys noticed yet, but I was doing this challenge around Christmas time, and Terraria does an event where enemies can sometimes drop Christmas presents. Now I know that Santa always gives poor kids substantially worse Christmas gifts, so instead of keeping any presents for myself, I decided to share them via my railroad and give out gifts to the good children. Little Susie's been so good this year that she's getting an unregistered firearm. I was such a generous little fellow. Until I saw a gift that I wanted to keep and just stole it back. Oh, wait, no, go back, no, I'm keeping that present. That present's mine right there, I see that. Yeah, so one of the gifts ended up being the Orange Parka vanity set that I decided to wear, which is a direct reference to Kenny from South Park, a poor kid who has a running gag of dying over and over again. Foreshadowing is a literary device in which... Okay. There's one last thing I'd like to mention I feel like I've neglected up until this point, and it's that for the entirety of this challenge, I only have access to a tiny pool of NPCs that can move into my world. We can't unlock characters like the merchant as he has a prerequisite of us collecting at least 50 silver coins before he moves in, which also prevents characters like the nurse and demolitionist from showing up as they require the merchant to be present beforehand. For this entire playthrough, I only really had 5 characters show up, and all of these are either entirely useless or are dependent on us having money to utilize. Having no money really sucks for characters that are otherwise fantastic like the Goblin Tinkerer, as without money we can neither reforge our gear for better modifiers or purchase the Tinkerer's Workshop to combine our accessories into something better. It also doesn't help that I just don't like some of them. The golfer especially, because I know only rich people can play golf, so I floated all the way up to a sky island and trapped him there for all eternity, just so he never has the estate to play golf again. I'm telling you, if he tries to leave, all that's gonna happen is a clip straight out of a Jacksepticeye Happy Wheels Let's Play. He's never playing golf again. Anyways, after setting everything up, I made multiple particle accelerators at the left of the world and waited for King Slime to spawn. Because of the gel required to make the Slime Crown summoning item, I can't really spawn him in myself, so I have to wait for him to randomly show up via Slime Rain. After about an hour though, the event finally happened and King Slime spawned in. I fired up the accelerator, popped my Iron Skin and Thorns potions, and proceeded to absolutely shred through his health. We are in prime position. He's about to die. He's about to die! He'll die! He'll die! It'll work! It's gonna work! It's gonna work! To my amusement, the particle accelerator worked beautifully as his health exploded whenever he ran into my minecart and Star Fury. And let's not forget Abigail putting in the work and doing a whopping 1 damage to the boss. That 1 damage will come in clutch when I need it most, I swear. With another boss down off our checklist, I decided to try and get the rematch on Queen Bee. Now, I ended up making the arena similar to the Brain of Cthulhu one, but since the hive is so small, it ended up being super claustrophobic. I was planning on carving it out and making it a bit bigger, but while I was looking through my menus, I misclicked right over the larva, and accidentally shot it open to summon the boss. Oh, wait! I didn't mean to do that! I did not mean to shoot that! I was not ready yet! Oh yeah, and it turns out that this arena absolutely sucks balls. So when I was suddenly forced into this fight, I was constantly slamming into the wall and getting stuck in my minecart. I'm actually stuck! Move! The fight was closer than I thought it would be, but it seemed like I was still going to lose towards the end. Queen Bee only had around 10% of her HP remaining, but I was incredibly low with my potion timer still active, so I couldn't heal. With Queen Bee ready to charge and finish me off, I realized the ultimate meme strat from before was my only railway to victory, so I decided to recall away. Oh my god. Go! Run! Oh, she's coming! Oh god, she's coming! If I could head left and stall out for just long enough, I could wait out my potion timer and heal before Queen Bee reached me, and finish her off in her enraged state. I traveled nearly the entire railway system, but eventually I was able to heal. And once she arrived, the strat wasn't a meme anymore. Oh god! Yes! Oh my god, it worked! Oh my god! The strat wasn't a meme! It wasn't a meme! And with that, our 4th boss had now been defeated by the power of the King's Chariot. There's just 3 more to go in pre-hard mode, those being Skeletron, Deerclops, and the Wall of Flesh. I decided that Skeletron would be my next boss to tackle, and I had a very interesting strategy going into this fight. In order to win, I needed to become a woman. So everyone already knows the phrase, a man should never put his hands on a woman, right? Well, in the Skeletron fight, he really wants to put his hands on us. He's got 2 big ones in his first phase that he loves to launch and smack us with. But I mean, if I just become a woman, he can't put his hands on me. Because a man should never put his hands on a woman. Now I know if I become a woman, a lot of people will spam my comments with go woke, go broke, but last time I checked I'm already broke as hell, so that doesn't really change much for me. So I set my sights on creating the gender change potion, and went around collecting all the different flowers necessary to make this liberal brew. And after mixing all the ingredients together, I got my potion, and it was time to see my sweet transformation.
That's a woman?
Okay, I might still look the exact same, but I just took my first dose, okay? It's gonna take a while before we start seeing some real results. Anyways, I went to build my huge Skeletron arena filled with a ton of different minecart layers to bounce around in, and it was pretty massive. I believed the fight would go smoothly now that I had everything prepared, but once I got into it, I realized there was one issue I never accounted for. Oh my god, I can't believe I completely forgot the other saying! How can I beat him on a minecart when women can't drive?! I got an achievement just because of how many times I had to walk back here. Oh my god, dude.
Man, I feel like a woman.
Okay, so I may have died a couple times in this fight, and it's all because of Skeletron's head itself. You see, in this fight there are 2 components, Skeletron's hands and Skeletron's head. The hands are easy enough to deal with on a minecart because I can just run them over, but the head is the antithesis of our entire minecart strategy. The idea is to just keep running over his head, but if Skeletron does a spinning attack, it'll take away a large chunk of our HP upon contact. I would just try and jump over his head when he does this attack, but the minecart doesn't have a strong enough vertical to clear him without getting hit at the end. I learned later I could have just cheesed the boss by making a big circular minecart arena and going, I'm running circles around ya! But if I've got this huge minecart arena and can't use it to run him over, what's the point? I know if it did actually work, I'd definitely go on trial for vehicular manslaughter, but like, God forbid a woman have hobbies! Eventually though, after slamming my head into a brick wall more times than I'd like to admit, I realized the minecart strategy just wasn't going to work the way I wanted it to. So I used it in order to take out the hands, and afterwards got off it in order to grapple around the arena. I wasn't super happy with what I had to do to make it happen, but after a while of shooting him with my space gun, Skeletron had been defeated. After defeating Skeletron, oh fuck, the dosage finally hit. Wow, I look divine. I fear I can't keep this bit up any longer though. I don't want to check my Twitter tomorrow and see even more people than usual draw me as a woman, so I chugged another gender change potion to turn back into a man, and marked Skeletron off our boss bucket list. With Skeletron defeated, I now had access to the dungeon, which has a ton of goodies inside. Except I low-key kind of forgot about it entirely, so I never went inside. We only have 2 bosses to take out in pre-hard mode anyways, Deerclops and the Wall of Flesh. I don't really have a ton of experience fighting Deerclops specifically, but I wanted to fight him next, so I went to the Terraria wiki to do a little research, and I ended up discovering an amusing little factoid. You see, in Deerclops' origin game Don't Starve, if you run into him, you won't take any contact damage. I'm assuming this is why when Don't Starve collabed with Terraria and added Deerclops in as a boss, they decided to reference the game and make it so if you touch his legs in his boss fight, you won't take any damage. Now, this is a super tiny area compared to the rest of his body, so realistically, this amusing factoid never comes into play. Except if we already have an invention that can contain us within a super tiny area. Abigail, I can't believe it. The particle accelerator is the optimal strategy. I can go run him over! Yes! Yippee! Yes! I can go run him over, Abigail! I can do it! I can go run him over! Okay, so here's the idea. It's really hard to get my hands on the materials to make Deerclops' summoning item because the Flinx fur required to make it always drops around money, but you can also get Deerclops to spawn randomly at night during a blizzard. So, after doing a bit of waiting, I eventually got him to spawn, and initiated our second particle accelerator. Now, Deerclops is a bit of a weird boss comparatively to the others. He'll always try to attack at a distance with his ice spikes, so just sitting around at an accelerator isn't going to work. Instead, I started the fight already in a minecart and chugged all my stat buffing potions, and waited for him to show up. Now, normally if you're in a minecart and he hits you, you'll get knocked out of it due to the frozen debuff he inflicts on you. But we can actually equip the hand warmer accessory obtained by one of those Christmas presents I opened to become immune to the effect and stay inside our minecart. Once he started attacking, I built my way inside of him, and had to use muscle memory to blindly create the accelerator mid-fight because seeing within his legs is near impossible. By doing this, you'll break Deerclop's movement AI as the particle accelerator causes him to move back and forth in place the entire fight. From there, I chugged a beer from my inventory, started swinging my sword, and powered on the King's Chariot.
Driving in my car right after a beer. Hey, that bomb is shaped like a deer.
Pops. I got him! The particle accelerator actually worked! Oh my god. Okay, I know the Asgore truck meme may be a dated meme by now, but like, how could I not do it? It's too fitting not to include, right? The particle accelerator strat ended up working better than I thought it would, because by staying within his legs, you'll end up avoiding the majority of Deerclop's attacks entirely, only really getting hit by his third icicle attack and the shadow hands he spawns in expert mode. With Deerclops defeated by the power of the King's Chariot, only one boss remained in my way. And oh man, this one fight would drive me insane. On paper, the Wall of Flesh fight seems pretty simple. Even without being able to pick up money, all we've really got to do is shoot down a voodoo demon over lava and let gravity take its course, causing the guide voodoo doll to burn in lava, killing my current guide in the world, and summoning in the Wall of Flesh. The only problem is that since I'm the #1 minecart fan, I really want to defeat him riding one. So instead of making a huge platform to fight him like most people, I decided to construct my magnum opus. A huge transcontinental railway system that takes you from the very left of hell all the way to the very right. However, even with this huge railway system, I kept dying over and over again in this fight, and you can tell I wasn't having a good time. You see, when fighting the Wall of Flesh, he likes to shoot out lasers, and at the start of the fight, these aren't too bad to avoid. This is until he gets to about half health when the lasers get faster and he shoots out more of them, which forces you to have to perform Matrix-level bullshit in order to dodge these in a minecart. Even if you're cracked out of your mind, sometimes you will just end up getting an unavoidable pattern of lasers no matter what. Or you'll do a super cool dodge just to be rage-baited by the last laser still hitting you at the end. This really isn't helped by the fact that I'm still in meteor armor instead of the optimal molten armor, so I'm taking more damage per laser than I realistically should at this point. Even if I didn't give myself this arbitrary minecart challenge, the fight would still be a struggle, as without money, we can't get a Tinkerer's Workshop to craft something like Spectre Boots to bob and weave around his lasers. And let's not forget that every time I want to reattempt the fight, I have to chuck another guide voodoo doll into lava, turning my world into a complete guide genocide run. You know, maybe there is a good reason barely anybody wants to move in with me, because everybody that does just meets the worst fate imaginable! Except for Abigail, of course. She's already dead, so realistically nothing could ever bother her. I want to see my sister Wendy again! In a minute! So there I was, dying to the wall over and over and over again in a hell of my own creation. A real William Afton type situation if I'm being honest. But I bet those FNaF Ultimate Custom Night Sweats simply don't have the raw skill to perform the minecart jump inputs. Bones could never. Since I am pretty good at hitting spacebar on my keyboard though, I eventually got a pretty decent attempt in at fighting the wall. I ended up acquiring a Demon Scythe magic weapon and a ton of mana crystals that give me more DPS compared to the space gun I was using. And my accuracy at firing off screen had gotten pretty good from all the attempts I put in. While in a minecart, it's wise to keep a lot of distance between yourself and the wall so you can react to his lasers. But this causes him to be off screen for the majority of the fight. Therefore, I got good at predicting where his eyes would be and landing my hits on someone I can't even see. Also, Abigail was lollygagging around. Abigail, you have to do something. For the entire fight, I would spam my demon scythes, fire my space gun when I ran out of mana, and man, I was so locked in. I got the wall to about 10% HP, but this is when he starts getting really fast and the lasers start becoming practically undodgeable. I was getting pretty low, but thanks to the minecart track spanning all of hell, the King's Chariot was able to outrun the wall, and I chugged a potion for the final time. With the wall on only a sliver of health, it would only only take a single hit to take him out and finally defeat all of the pre-hard mode bosses. But it wasn't me who got the final blow. At this moment, somebody else decided to fly over and take matters into their own hands. Also, Abigail has the ability to fly, so like, if I need her to take care of an enemy, she can just ignore every obstacle and deal with it on her own. And let's not forget Abigail putting in the work and doing a whopping 1 damage to the boss. That 1 damage will come in clutch when I need it most, I swear. And with that, Abigail had taken out the Wall of Flesh with her measly 1 damage. The final boss had been checked off, and I proved that all of Terraria's pre-hard mode is possible to beat without picking up money. You know, it's funny. Basically every strategy that I developed across this playthrough as a joke ended up working out when I needed it most. It's wonderful. And with seemingly nothing left to do, I took a look at my fully completed checklist to take in my complete victory.
Dude, you do realize there's a back to the boss sheet, right?
There was a back?
Yeah. That was all pre-hard mode bosses. You see, if you flip it over, you've got 10 new bosses to defeat now that you're in hard mode. Yeah, you still gotta defeat ones like Queen.
Oh, fuck! I completely forgot about hard mode. I can't just do 10 more bosses, I gotta end the challenge somehow! I gotta summon Abigail! Abigail, you're immortal and you've proven you can kill bosses, okay? So I just summoned in every single boss for you to take out, okay? Nah, I don't really feel like it. What do you mean you don't feel like it? I just summoned all of them in, Abigail! I need your help or I'm gonna die!